1 through 10, and you may have to give me the problems because I gave out all my sheets, I think. 6 hours for 6 problems. You're going to cry tonight, then. What you got? Yes, yes. Decimals are okay. Somebody emailed me and asked, I can't remember who it was. And I try, if you ever have a question or anything, feel free to email me at any point in time. It usually comes through my phone. Several people may even have my cell number and I get texts. I mean, I don't mind if I'm not available, I just don't respond. And then I can respond whenever I do. I try to respond to email as soon as you send it. Sometimes I might be in the middle of something and get caught up and forget, and I have to say, hey, you never responded to me. But somebody asked that about, is it okay to get decimals, or should we use decimals or fractions? At this point in time, I don't care. We'll get to a point where I do care a little bit more, and I will let you know. But for right now, I don't care. Well, one of them was decimals. Which one was that? 6? Yeah, and that's okay. Okay. Other questions for me? Do you have any you need to work or graph for you? We can all do 6 together. Would someone mind calling that out to me? Y equals minus what? 5. All right, so what I know before I graph it is it's going up. It's going to be skinnier than average, and the y-intercept is -5, right? Hey, so first thing I'm going to do is calculate that vertex. To do that, I'm going to do opposite b. What's the opposite of b? 2 over 2 times a. So that's going to be 2 over 4, which is a half. You will see, even though I say you can use either one, I'm a big fraction fan. Fractions are our friends. They help us keep everything completely and totally exact. But if you're not there yet, that's okay. All right, here's 1. I'm going to do my axis of symmetry. What I saw Friday was that some of you were plotting the points that you got, and whenever you went to reflect, you were reflecting the wrong point. So make sure you know where that vertex sits as you do this. And so that axis of symmetry helps me remember that. That's why I do it. But whatever you want to do, some people put a little V beside it. All right, so I need to plug it in to find the other. And here's where we start getting harder. All right, so exponents always come before multiplication, yes? Am I talking too fast? Okay. All right, so I'm going to square the 1/2. What is 1/2 squared? A 4th. And what is a 4th times 2? A half. So I've got 1/2 minus half of 2 is 1. And now I can just add or subtract left to right. So a half minus 1 is -1/2. -1/2 minus 5 is -5.5, or -11/2. However you want to write it. I don't really like mixed numbers. I'd prefer you to do one of those two. What that means on this line, I'm going to go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.5. This is my vertex. Everybody okay there? Yes, Miss McGee, you're fine. Good, I'm glad y'all are okay. All right, now my easy point, I'm going to use the -5 here because that's easier. I don't have to use -5 if I wanted to plug in 1, if I want to plug in 2, whatever, I can do that. For me, it's easier to use what's already given to me, so I don't have to worry about any calculation errors. I'm going to put it at 5, and now all I have left to do is to reflect, half a half, and connect. Ooh, that's a squiggly parabola. Maybe so. Tell me how you feel about standard form. I got it good. I'm a little bit okay on it. I don't got it at all. Everybody give me a thumb, give me a thumb, give me a thumb, give me a thumb. Okay. All right. What else you got on your homework? Anything? All right. Let's talk about some other forms then. Switching gears. God, forgive me. I'm going to probably be keyed up when y'all come in here because calculus is like just 100 miles an hour. So I'm like, we got to get through it. We got to get through it. So I'm all keyed up now. All right. 120 what? Yeah, that's how fast we go. You should stop by sometime. I'm running the room 120 miles an hour. You can write whatever you want. These are your notes. Yes? That might be your bonus question on your first test. What was the title of the notes on day 2? Smiley face. All right, we're going to talk about 2 more forms. Remember we talked about on Friday, when you were graphing lines, you used all these different forms to graph in. You had slope, intercept. What else? How else can you graph a line? What's another form of a line? Point, slope. Give me one more. Oh, I already said that, but okay. Now give me another one. Give me another one. Standard? Don't we have graph lines in standard form to cover up? Oh. AX plus BY, and you cover up one part of it to find the y-intercept, cover up another part to find the x. Tell me your teacher didn't make you change it from that to slope intercept. Okay, hurry up. No, I'm just kidding. Don't go interrupt her. All right. Regardless, I digress. Just like there are these multiple forms to graph lines, and there's multiple forms to graph quadratics in, okay? So we talked about standard Friday. There's 2 more forms, and we're going to talk about both of them today. They are both much easier than standard form. If you got standard form, these 2 will be a piece of cake. Ready? Let's start with Vertex. Do you remember this one? Okay, so y'all got to quadratics in Algebra 1? Okay. The vertex form of a quadratic, let me show you what it looks like, and then I'll show you how to graph it. I've got, and I think I'm going to change, I think y'all can handle this. Instead of y equals, I'm going to change to f of x. What, does everyone understand that's the same thing? What does f of x mean? What does it tell us? It means y, but what does it tell us? It's a function. Function of. What does function mean? Does anybody know? Function means there's one and only one output, which is y, for every input. It passes the vertical line test. We'll talk about all that a little later. Just know that this is the same as y. I just would rather you be a little more sophisticated than just y every time. All right, f of x equals a times x minus h squared plus k. This looks a little different. You don't remember this? That's okay. What looks the same? What do you notice that it has in common? A. Besides the exponent. Somebody said it, a what? An A. And a constant. You're right, a constant, but it's a different constant, but we'll talk about that in just a second. Let's talk about the A first. The A, and here's what's nice about this form, the A does exactly the same thing here that it did in standard form. So this still tells me what? Happy or sad, positive or negative, that's right. If it's positive, I'm opening up. If it's negative, I'm opening down. What else does it tell me? That's exactly right. As the absolute value of A gets bigger, what does the graph do? It gets skinnier. And vice versa, right? Say right, because that's right. I'm just going to say vice versa instead of writing it all out again. Remember, your notes are there to help you as you prepare for the test and whatnot. So make sure that if it's something that you need or don't need, you take care of that in your notes. All right. I will say, be very careful. This is not the y-intercept anymore. So don't see the constant on the end and just assume it's the y-intercept because it's no longer the y-intercept. But if I asked you the hardest part of graphing in standard form, what would you tell me that was? Which step was the hardest for you to do? I agree. Finding the vertex, right? You got to plug into a formula, then you got to take that and plug that back into the formula. The nice thing about this is it gives me the vertex. The vertex is H, K, whatever those variables are. Now be very careful because H is going to have the opposite sign and K is going to have the same sign. But that's going to just give me my vertex. So instead of having to go opposite B over 2A, plug back in, I just pull my vertex out and then continue. Got that for Tucson. Tell me what you know. Close. -1, 2. So I take the opposite sign of what's in parentheses, the same sign as what's outside. Tell me what else you know. Am I happy or sad? Sad. Somebody said sad. I'm sad. I'm opening down because it's negative. Am I skinny, wide, or average? Wide. Wide because it's getting bigger. Everybody okay with that? Yes, thank you guys. I appreciate the feedback. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Let's just jump into one, I think. Oh no. We could probably use that one. I know this one's good. What if, let me just go back just a second. What if H, yeah. Oh, always ask. The first number is always opposite. If it's in the parentheses, it's opposite. If it's outside, it's same. If one of them makes okay here. If what is that? Oh, if one of them is missing. What is it? 0. 0. All right. Everybody good? Let's do y equals. All right, so what I want to do is I'm going to go through graphing this and give you some steps to graphing it. I've got a reference sheet on Canvas with steps on how to, if you need it, graphing in vertex form. But I'll come through here first. So the first step is still the same as it was whenever I was graphing in standard form. I'm still going to find and graph the vertex. I guess I should call this how to graph. How to graph a vertex. What's the vertex on this one? What's the axis of symmetry? Yes, thank you. X equals 1. If the vertex is 1, -3, then the axis of symmetry goes right through that vertex. You see how I've eliminated that whole first step whenever I graph in standard form? Here's the only thing. My easy point, because I'm going to pick up with all the other steps. I still need 3 points, and I've got the vertex. So what I'm going to do, find an easy point. This time I can't use that y-intercept because I don't have that y-intercept. Remember that number on the end? That's not my y-intercept anymore. So I need to find an easy point. Well, what's easy compared to my vertex here? What would you might pick? I would pick 0. What's another easy point to pick? Maybe not so far. If I'm at 2. If I'm at 1, maybe 0 or 1. My rule of thumb is go 1 over from the vertex. It'll make your life easier. It'll always make your life easier. So if I pick, let's say I pick 0. What am I plugging that 0 back in to find the other half of the point? X in my equation, right? So y equals 2, 0 minus 1 squared minus 3. Be very careful because order of operations picks up here. What comes first? Parentheses. 0 minus 1 is -1. What comes next? Exponent. Please excuse. So -1 squared is +1. Next comes multiplication and division. So 2 times 1 is 2. Now I can subtract. You don't have to show quite that much work, but just to show you where it comes, because everybody wants to square first or multiply first. But make sure you're following order of operations here. So this easy point, give me the coordinates all together. 0, -1. I only have 2 points. I told you you need 3. How do I find the third? My favorite, that's right. Reflect and connect. Reflect. What do you think about vertex form? Easy? It's a lot easier than standard, right? What? A few more. Okay. Finley's good now. Finley, are you scared to talk? You can always interrupt me. It's okay. Why are you embarrassing him? All right, another example of vertex, or should we go to intercept? If y'all need another example, tell me. Finley, you want another example? Let's go to intercept, and then we'll do... Leave him alone. All right, intercept form. What's an intercept, by the way? Where it crosses or meets, right? We've talked a lot about y-intercepts. When we get to Algebra 2, we talk a lot about x-intercepts instead of y-intercepts. So, here's my equation. This one looks a lot different. This is actually, if you remember from Algebra 1, when you factored, this is the factored form. That's all this is. Okay? Now, what do you notice is still the same? A, it never goes away. Guess what? It still tells me the same thing. It tells me up or down. It tells me skinny wide average. I'm not going to write down what, and you can write it if you want to. If you graph a parabola, I want you to think about this for just a second. You go to graph a parabola, how many times will it cross the x-axis? 2. Right? if I graph them, if I'm just thinking about, can you think of a time when that's not true? Okay, if the vertex is on the x-axis, then I might just have one. Can you think of any other scenario? Above or below, that's exactly right. Good job, y'all. We'll actually talk about all three of those scenarios in this unit. Right now, we're going to be focused, when I'm in intercept form, on the purple one that's going to go through the x-intercept line. Okay, so it's going to have two, but I wanted you to understand why there's two answers, because it's crossed. Does that make sense? A little bit? Yeah. Thank you. 1, 2. Maybe. All right, let's see if I can make it make a little more sense. All right, A is the same thing, up, down, skinny, wide, average. P and Q are my x-intercepts, and I have two of them. They are going to have the opposite sign. Now remember, my last form also had an opposite sign. And you might be confused. Oh my gosh, I have no idea what it's going to be same sign when it's going to be opposite. If it's in parentheses, it's opposite sign. Okay, that's how I remember. Both of these are in parentheses. They're both opposite signs. Go back to the vertex form. The number in parentheses is opposite, outside is not. So if it sits inside of parentheses, you're going to be opposite sign. About that. If I go on too fast, tell me. I'm going too fast? I think you're just saying that. Okay. You stalled me out. Now I can't think of where I want to go with it. Tell me what you know. You're exactly right. Whatever else about this graph is happening, I know it's crossing the x-axis at -1 and +5. I also know, based on my A, what does this tell me? Up, skinny, right? Without doing any math whatsoever, I've got a lot of information about this graph. Does that make sense now? Before I show you how to graph it, I want you to think about one more thing. This kind of goes in backwards order when we're graphing. So we kind of already have the reflected point. So what is it that I'm going to be missing? The vertex. What is special about the vertex in relationship to those 2 points? It's in the middle. How do you find in the middle of 2 points and not just counting? Okay, so I could. That's going to be a little, but you're getting, somebody was saying that. You could do midpoint, and since both of them 0, you're doing the same thing as the x part of the midpoint from where you're actually right. You are adding and dividing. You're going to average the two of them together, right? If this is -1 and this is 5, what's 5 plus -1? Divide that by 2. 2 in the middle? Yeah. Okay. So it is. It's the x. So both of you are right. It's the x part of the. Y'all remember midpoint formula in geometry? Add the x's together, divide by 2. Add the y's together, divide by 2. The y's are both 0. So we're just adding the x's together and dividing. All right. Let's walk through what this looks like when we're graphing. Am I throwing too much on y'all on a Monday morning? Y'all okay? Some of y'all look like, okay. I'm almost done, I promise. That's just natural look. Yeah. Well, I'm almost done. We have. That's a little long. You saying all that about Finley and yeah. I don't want it to be too hard on the first example. If I what? Did he ask? +2, -6. Those are going to be my x-intercepts. Let me do you some steps here for these. The first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to find and plot. This time, not my vertex because, oh my gosh, I don't know my vertex. This time I'm going to find and plot my x-intercepts. Okay? And in this case, you're exactly right. It's +2 and -6. Now, before I do that, and while you're writing, tell me what else you know based on the other numbers in this equation. It's going to go down. How about the width? It's going to be average because it's 1, right? There's not a number there. Good job. All right, I'm going to plot these. 2 and -6. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What do you think I should do now? Average them together. So what I'm really doing is I'm finding the axis of symmetry, which will also give me the vertex whenever I plug it in. So to do that, I'm going to add the two together and divide them by 2. Do you a little formula? It's actually p plus q divided by 2. Make sure it's opposite signs, right? If it's in parentheses, it's opposite signs. So I've got 2 plus -6 divided by 2, -2. If I have the axis of symmetry, and I need the vertex, yeah, you do. Yeah. I've got the x part of the vertex. I have to plug it in. Plug it into what? The first equation, right? I'm going to plug this in right up here. Because I know that y is going to be -2 minus 2 times -2 plus 6. This is -4. This is +4. Where am I going? Which is, that means I got to go all the way up to 16. I'm not counting up that high. -2. 16 is my vertex. Do I have everything I need to graph now? I just need to connect them. See what you think. I don't want to throw too much on you. I think I'm going to save domain and range for tomorrow.